Hey guys, it is Melissa and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be covering the missing child by the name of Karlie Guse. She's a 16-year-old girl who is missing from Bishop, California, and we're going to go ahead and talk about what led up to her disappearance and what facts are known now, and we're going to make sure that we share her face and share her picture because she is still missing. It's been almost 6 months. Her family has absolutely no idea where she is. This case is going to be featured on the Dr. Phil show on March 18th and 19th. So if you're coming to hear from there, then want to make sure that you're getting some background information on the case. I'm going to timestamp below, so you can skip this intro now if you want to. And at the end, I will do my opinions and theories about what is going on. But we're going to start out with covering the facts. I need to state two things quickly. First of all, these are just my opinions. This is the research that I found and what I found shareable, and the opinions are my own. Finally, if it does become an issue or somebody brings it up, I did post this on my Facebook that I would be covering this case. Through a friend of a friend, I did actually end up getting confirmation from the mother that it was okay that I cover this case, but I don't have any contact with her. I don't know her. I haven't spoke with her personally. So let's go ahead and cover this case. Here is the background on Karlie Guse. She was 16 years old. She was living in Chalfont, California, which is about 10 minutes south of Bishop, California. I'm about 3 hours from there, so I'm really familiar with the area. It's kind of where we go dirt bike riding. It's desolate in some areas, a lot of desert, a lot of mountains. There's a lot of ground that's completely uncovered. Now, Karlie was residing in the home with her father, Zac Guse, and her stepmother, Melissa Guse, as well as her two younger brothers. I believe they were 9 and 10 years old, and they were in the home as well. Now, Karlie's mother is Lindsay Fairley. Zac and Lindsay divorced when Karlie was around 2 years old. Karlie apparently lived with her mother until she was like 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. And then she decided when her mother moved away to Nevada, which is like 9-hour drive, that she wanted to stay in Bishop where she was familiar with her friends in school. So she resided with her father and stepmother. Now, by all accounts, all the way around, it seemed that she had a great childhood and was very close with her father, her stepmother, and her mother. That there were no issues with her not being close with any of them. Her mother just happened to live in a different state. Karlie was an active girl in school. She loved to dance. She seemed to have a lot of friends. She seemed to be an outgoing, happy kid. And by all accounts, there was nothing really big in her life. Like, she wasn't a bad kid. She wasn't out running the streets. She did have a boyfriend by the name of Donald, who was 17 years old. And on the evening of August 12, 2018, she asked if she could go to the high school football game. Her parents gave her permission. And around 8 o'clock, her stepmother sent her a message and was like, hey, do you need a ride? And she's like, no, I'm good. And then she immediately got back in touch with Melissa and was like, come get me right now. So Melissa rushed over and got her and was like, what's going on? There were reports from other people, I'm a little confused, that Karlie may have been running down the street, but Melissa said she was alone when she got there. So when Karlie got into the car, Melissa's like, what's going on? Why did you need me to come so quick? Like, why are you acting weird? And she said that Karlie was acting very paranoid and that she told her, I smoked marijuana. I'm really sorry. Please don't be mad. And Melissa's more concerned about, like, why are you acting so strange? Rather than, it's fine, you're not in trouble right now, we'll deal with this later. The reports say that Karlie had smoked marijuana before. Melissa said in a Facebook Live that it had been at least a month. So she did have experience with smoking marijuana, and she was just concerned with making sure she was okay. Now, she did not take her to the hospital because she said that although she was being paranoid and kind of irrational, she was carrying on cohesive conversation, so they were not concerned about her physical well-being at that time. When they returned home, according to the interview that Zac Guse gave on Nancy Grace, that he was already home. He got home from work, he had some beers, and he was there, and that Karlie and Melissa came home. He says that when Karlie got home, again, she was acting paranoid and acting afraid. Nancy Grace, and I'm going to put this below, like, dug in on them. Like, what do you mean? What does that mean? Like, what does acting paranoid mean? Like, tell me, what were they doing? Okay, so he stated that she was standing in the corner and saying she was afraid, but that when they asked her what she was afraid of, she was like, I don't know. At some point in time during this evening of August 12th, the night before she went missing, Melissa decided to record an audio recording of Karlie to show her the next morning, like, look how crazy you were acting. And in this recording, which I have not heard, it's not available, that Karlie is making statements like, I'm scared, I'm afraid, and Melissa is trying to give her a salad. Apparently, Melissa said she made her eat a salad, made her eat a power bar, but she said she was trying to eat this salad and she wouldn't eat it, and Melissa wanted to know why, and she said it was the devil's lettuce. I have not personally heard this recording, just so you know, but it's been reported on many times. There was also reports that in it, Melissa was like, you need to calm down, you need to go to bed, and that Karlie said, no, you're going to kill me. And Melissa's like, whoa, what are you talking about? And she's like, I don't know, I'm just thinking these like really demonic thoughts. Again, I haven't heard it myself. Lindsay said, the mother, that when she heard it, that there was references, and this is what I saw posted online, that there was references to, she called Melissa mom at some point, and Melissa's like, no, I'm Melissa, and that she's like, I'm sorry, I'm just really scared. Very, very eerie. And as Nancy Grace really wanted to dig in, what was she scared of? Because your child was scared of something and then she went missing. So they just said she didn't know. She was just scared. She was scared of her phone. She was scared of them. But then all of a sudden she would be acting normal. So there's a lot of debate on, did that happen? And if it did happen, was it because the marijuana that she smoked was laced with something? But we do not know. So at some point, they've gotten Karlie to the room. Now, the initial reports were that Melissa hung out with her for a while because she wanted her to sleep with her, but that Melissa then went to bed and she got up at 5:45 in the morning, checked on her, and she was there. But then the next report that kind of immediately came out is that she never left the room, that she slept in the bed with Karlie, and that she woke around 5:40. Apparently there's a text message that was sent on her phone. I cannot figure out who she texted, but apparently there was a text message sent on her phone, and she said Karlie was right there. And then around 7 a.m. she wakes again, and she realizes that Karlie's gone. She noticed the bedroom door is still open. It had been open all night. She goes out into the living room and notices that their front door, which they normally didn't even lock because of where they were at, it wasn't something they normally did, was slightly ajar. She looked around and she went into Zachary and was like, honey, she's gone. They made a lot of statements that she went out for a walk. In fact, that's what it was reported to police, but they never saw her leave. Okay. In fact, in the initial reports, Melissa told the police that Karlie was wearing blue skinny jeans with holes in them. But then we'll get into a second, and the witnesses saw her in gray sweatpants. That's when it's confirmed that, so you never even saw her leave. You don't know where she went. You don't know how she left. Okay. So now they get up. It's now around 7:30 in the morning, and they're looking for her. They cannot find her. And Zachary goes in his truck. Melissa goes in her car, and they go out looking for her. They, from the very beginning, assumed that she left to go for a walk. Now, I want to mention her cell phone was at home. We'll get into where it was in a little bit. But her cell phone was at home, so it was not with her. So they automatically assumed she went for a walk. So they immediately go out their doors. They start looking. Now, at some point, a neighbor told Melissa, again, this is confusing, either that morning, like in that initial search, or a couple days later, somebody said they saw her in the area at around 6:30 in the morning. Now, the gentleman that saw her, a lot of people ask, like, well, maybe he has her, was a retired sheriff. I know that doesn't mean anything. Bad people come from all walks of life. But it seemed that he gave genuine information, that he saw out his window and he saw her, knew her, and that she was looking up at the sky holding a piece of paper in her hand. There was a sighting around 7:30 by a man on the freeway who said he saw her behind the fence on the side of the road, also kind of looking around. This gentleman seems to be completely disconnected from this case, so it seems to be a good witness statement if it genuinely was her. So at this point, the parents look and look and look. They have absolutely no idea where she is. At 9 a.m., they return home. They cannot find her. That is when Zachary calls her mother, Lindsay, says she's gone. She went to a party last night and she's gone. We'll get at that at the end because, like, she didn't just go to a party and gone. Like, she came home. So there was a lot of information that was kind of out there and kind of confusing. The police do come to the home. Now, of course, there's absolutely no signs of foul play at the home. There's nothing disturbed. Everything looks fine. But she's gone. So they start by treating it as a runaway, which is obviously a possibility. And then they treat it as a missing person. So they did not treat the house as a crime scene, as I don't see that they saw any signs that they needed to at this point. Lindsay's mother rushes from Nevada to California. It takes her about 9 hours to get there. By the time she arrives, the police have come and the Facebook Live media frenzy is beginning, but there is no sign of her daughter. So I think that kind of gives you a good quick facts on the case. And now let's kind of talk about some of the things that happened that have been called into question. First, we're going to talk about why she was acting paranoid. I know very little about like marijuana side effects. Like I know the basics, and I know that there are people who have crazy rare reactions where they can act paranoid. Like, it's really annoying when I see people online being like, oh, that's not even possible. You can't freak out from marijuana. It had to have been laced. There was like crazy stories about people talking about people getting arrested in regards to this case. That's not even true. Whether or not it was laced, we just don't know. And unless Karlie is found, there's no way of ever knowing what state she was actually in from what. Their statements that she was acting paranoid are very difficult to deal with because they're non-specific. When you listen to the Nancy Grace interview where she's like drilling in on them, like, and she makes this statement, I don't know what paranoid would look like on my kids. So can you tell me what your child was doing so that I can understand why you're using the phrase paranoid? Because just saying someone was scared, what was she afraid of? I don't know. She didn't know. She didn't know. So I'm like, okay, so maybe it was one of those weird scenarios where someone's just pacing and acting weird, but like they didn't say she was pacing. Maybe they're just standing in a corner and you can't figure out what, but you know something's wrong, but you don't know what, and you're asking them and they're like, I don't know. I'm just having a bad day. One of the other things that came out is that around 2 a.m., Melissa Guse sent a text message to Karlie Guse's 17-year-old boyfriend, and it simply said, pray for her. There's no context to this text message. I don't have any history on it. There was no response back. I do know that Donald showed up the next morning, and it may have been as a result of this text message. So I saw this, and yeah, that's freaking weird. But I also don't know the history of the relationship that Donald, the boyfriend, had with Melissa, the stepmom. I saw a lot of pictures where I think that it's Karlie's boyfriend in pictures with them because he's like kissing her on a cheek. So I assume that like maybe he was close with the family, so maybe they had regular conversations. One of the other things that was discussed is one of the witnesses claims to have seen Karlie out and about holding a piece of paper. Now, when asked about this piece of paper, Melissa was very quick to respond that it was a piece of paper she was writing on that morning, and that it might have been a school paper that she needed to turn in. So this was a Saturday, but maybe in her disorientation of her thoughts, that maybe she was worried about turning in this paper. I want to know when she was writing on this paper because you didn't see her. You saw her in bed at 5:45. So when was she writing on this paper? But maybe by morning she means like at that 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when she was trying to color. Also a little confusing. The other thing that came up was the witness statements. So I think it's 3 or 4 different witnesses, and 2 of them were completely confirmed, that saw Karlie out walking, stated very clearly that they saw her wearing a white t-shirt. This is what Melissa said she wore to bed, and that she was wearing sneakers, which Melissa and Zachary confirmed that's what she would typically wear, was Vans sneakers. Now the witnesses said she was wearing dark gray sweatpants. You remember in the beginning, Melissa said she was wearing skinny jeans. First of all, how do you know what she was wearing if you didn't actually see her walk out the door? And why are you telling people she went for a walk if you didn't see her go for a walk? But anyways, so they see her in gray sweatpants. Okay, that's fine. So maybe it appears that she was wearing skinny jeans the night before. She took them off to go to bed and was wearing underwear, and then got into bed. And then when she got up in the morning to leave, she probably put on a pair of gray sweatpants. So Nancy Grace and many people are asking them, so like, did you look in her laundry? Is she missing a pair of gray sweatpants? And the response is always like, do you keep track of how many kids your clothes have? And I don't know. At the end of the day, the family can't even tell you if she owned a pair of gray sweatpants, if she was wearing gray sweatpants, if there's a missing pair of gray sweatpants. They don't know if there's a missing pair of jeans, so maybe she was in jeans, so the sighting wasn't her. Like, they're of no help to figure this out. And I get that. I do, honestly. I'm the stepmom of 2 daughters at home currently that still live at home. And they have a crap ton of clothes. And a lot of those clothes I did not even purchase for them. They've gotten clothes handed down. They've had clothes that they've had before. They've got clothes from friends. They got Christmas gifts. And then Nancy Grace is like, well, was there like clothes left on the floor? Yeah, they just didn't answer the question. It's very, very weird. The other thing that was really interesting is in the Nancy Grace interview, Melissa makes a comment that they were in the living room with the brothers and that the little brothers went to bed. Her and Karlie went into the bathroom because Melissa wanted to brush her teeth and wash her face, and Karlie wanted to stay by her side. They went in there, brushed their teeth, washed their face. And then she says, and then we went back into the living room with her brothers to watch TV. The other thing I want to make sure we address is that there was a lot of questions about why an Amber Alert was not filed. And just so everyone is aware, that an Amber Alert is typically issued when you have some sort of description of the suspect or suspect vehicle. Also, in the case of, in the beginning, police are determining, is this a runaway? Is this a missing juvenile? Is this a missing endangered juvenile? Is this a missing juvenile at risk? There's a lot of different categories, and they have to figure out where this child fits. The one thing they did not feel at this time in the very beginning is that there was any evidence that she had been abducted or was in that sort of harm yet. There's also all kinds of concern around what she was wearing that day, because it doesn't make any sense that a young girl would leave that early in the morning. The temperature is around like 40 degrees in just sweatpants and a t-shirt with no jacket. She also did not take her cell phone. So this was another thing that got brought up. The boyfriend is very clear that when he arrived there that morning, Karlie's cell phone was sitting on her nightstand. Melissa, the stepmother, denies that 100%, says no, that is not true. This cell phone was on the kitchen counter where it had been the entire time. Now, she did admit that they had gone through the cell phone, and police have flashed that phone, so they have those records as well. It's important to note that all of her belongings were left at home. Now, although police did not treat this as initially as an abduction, they did treat it as a missing endangered child. So they immediately sent out search. They had dogs, they had helicopters, they did an extensive search of the area. One thing to know is this is a very, very big area. And the distance between Chalfont, where she lived, and Bishop was about a 10 to 15 minute drive. So what she did, it appears that she walked from her home and was heading to the highway, and getting to the highway, maybe she was going to hitch a ride. She had called, who knows what her plan was, but she was headed towards the road. There's a 2-hour gap from when she was seen at home, then an hour, the neighbors saw her in the neighborhood, and then she was spotted an hour later at the highway, which is only like a 25-minute walk. So there's a lot of concern about where she was. All right, let's get into the messy part. Let's talk about some of the theories, okay? The first theory, which is absolutely, I don't even care about, but apparently she was 5'7" and only about 115 pounds. There were some people saying that she's so skinny that maybe she ran away and is a drug addict. Like, honestly, that's what they're saying. It's been almost 6 months. This case is spread all over my area. I've been seeing it the entire 6 months. So, I'm just not really giving a lot of validity to that. The other thing is that she left to start a new life. Again, makes no sense. If she's really unhappy with her home, she's got her mother to go to. If she's really unhappy with that, like she's, that's just not the way it seems that she would handle that. And again, it's been 6 months. Somebody would know something by now. There is the concern, of course, that she was abducted and has entered into some sort of sex trafficking ring. I know that that's been a big concern in California lately, as well as many other states, but there's been a lot of talk about that with the rings that are around. And yeah, I mean, honestly, it is a horrific possibility. The thing is that this is such a rural, desolate area, and for the odds and the chances of her being abducted, it's just really slim. So, of course, that is always a possibility. So the family and friends are making sure that they're getting her picture out, sharing her, looking at some of these websites that have been associated with trafficking rings, and really keeping an eye out to see if she does pop up anywhere. And yeah, there have been a ton of possible sightings. As of yet, none of them have been confirmed. In fact, a majority of them have been ruled out. Okay, so let's tackle the final theory that is really well known, okay? The thing you should know is that the family is at odds now. The father and stepmother have a separate GoFundMe and a separate Facebook support page. The mother, Lindsay, has her own GoFundMe and her own Facebook group. So I would imagine that these two groups, I don't imagine, I saw it, I witnessed it. I do not belong to either group. I have not joined because I don't want to put myself into that situation. But from what I've seen from both groups, they are both very angry at each other. And that can 100% be from a place of hurt and hostility and just depression and everything that you're dealing with. People believe that Melissa's stories don't make any sense, okay? I am a stepmom as well, okay? While I feel like I am completely a mother to them and I help raise them and take care of them, and I refer to them as my daughters, it is very weird that Melissa instantly went onto Facebook Live over and over and over again, and I will post and link those down below for you, talking about how her daughter's missing. And it's not just weird that, okay, like, I mean, you're kind of her stepmom. And not that you're not her mom. I mean, because everyone's been totally fine with saying that Melissa's like a mom to her. She was in her life since she was a little girl. But like, she's just always saying, my daughter. What about Zac? Like, it's not just your daughter. So they're weird. They make you uncomfortable to the point that people were very upset because they thought that Melissa was her biological mother, and they were joining these Facebook groups to support her, and they were donating money to the GoFundMe. I don't know how long this went on, but I know that a couple weeks later, she did finally do a Facebook Live and say, I just want to let everyone know, in case there's confusion, I am Karlie's stepmom. Lindsay is her mother. So let's, make sure we give us both support. Here, and the other things that are really weird in these videos, she just talks about herself. It's like, I can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate it. I've been going through such hard times. You know what? I'll let you just watch them for yourself because they're weird. There's like shout outs, basically, like shouting out the printing company that printed flyers, shout out to the CHP. It's weird, okay? But then again, just because somebody's weird does not mean that they did anything wrong, okay? Because you can be an attention-seeking person with good intentions, and then because you're an attention-seeking person, that might show more than your good intentions. I hope you guys know what I mean. That doesn't always mean that somebody's a bad person or they've done anything wrong. It just means that they might have some personality flaw that is highlighted in a situation where they're under extreme pressure. So the thing that I've been spending the last several days trying to find is there's a lot of references to a Facebook post done by Melissa quickly after Karlie goes missing about her car needing repairs because she hit a boulder, okay? That morning when they went searching, she said that she took her car out into the boonies and even drove over boulders, and that she hit a boulder so her car needed to be repaired. There was also a report that Zac reported seeing Karlie's footprints in the mountain, but I wasn't able to get that confirmed. It doesn't appear that police were involved in that. There doesn't appear to be any photos of these footprints, and I'm not exactly sure how you would know the difference between anyone else's van's footprints. There are some anonymous posts. The guy on YouTube that's like posting the anonymous post has like a total like a porn name, and he's like, I think that Melissa and Karlie got into it. Karlie left in the morning. She was upset. She was angry. And that's why she didn't take her cell phone with her. Maybe they'd even taken it away from her, which they won't even say. Like, they won't even say why it was in the kitchen. Like, did you take it away from her? Did she leave it there? Like, why was it there? Anyways, they think that she went out the door and that Melissa went looking for her. That's why the witnesses saw her. And then that's why Melissa went out looking for her. And the question is, what really happened to her car? And did something happen? But that is 100% speculation. There have been no witnesses to that. The police have not said that. There have not been anyone who's, looked at her car that I know of. Like, that is 100% pure speculation. It's a good one though, because it really does make you think like maybe that's what happened to her, and maybe that's why they're acting weird. Maybe that's why they started with the story she went for a walk, but then realized that they needed to not know what was going on with her. They weren't going to want to answer questions. So then they're like, oh, well, we didn't actually see her leave. But she was disoriented. So maybe that's why she took off, because even if she had been laced with something, it would have been worn off the next morning, in my opinion. And so it's a lot of question about that. And then just the hardship with getting information from them about how she was acting, the hardship with, what she was wearing. I think the thing to know is that, of course, Melissa is going to get spotlighted as possibly being involved. And one of two things have happened. Either she is involved, or she just is one of those people who felt that she could put herself out in the limelight. It's not the fact that she went on social media instead of the mom or the dad. It was the fact that she made it about herself. And that's what makes it really awkward. But again, I have to say that doesn't mean she did anything wrong. Just because I think you're weird doesn't mean you are. So again, these are always just my theories. I know that I'm going to miss some information. My full blog post will have every bit of detail that I can have. I will make sure that I include that in the description below. You guys, I really appreciate everything. This is a learning experience for me. I know what I want to do, but like trying to do it and put it together is going to take me some time. Like editing out, what do I say, what don't I say? Like, what do people want to know? What don't they want to know? Like, I'm going to learn. So continue to give me, constructive criticism below. Please don't tell me to shut the up, because that's not cool. Please, you guys, I have a feeling based on the knowledge of this case and the groups that are there, that there is going to be a lot of commentary in the comments. And I think that's great, you guys, talk and share, but I'll remove any comments that are blatantly just disrespectful, no name calling and any of that. That's unacceptable. Anything you guys want to add that you think was important that needs to be shared, please do make sure to check out my blog, because it will have, really detailed information, because I always miss things here. So I love you all, and thank you so much for watching and supporting me, and y'all have a great day.